You ever stumble on something that changes everything while looking for nothing at all? I'm Nate, and I can still tell you the exact moment it started to unravel. It was 8:17 a.m. on a Thursday. I wasn't snooping, not even close. I'd just come downstairs to make coffee and check the forecast before my morning meeting. Claire and I share an old iPad that usually sits by the charging dock in the kitchen. We use it for grocery lists, recipes, booking weekend trips. It's synced to her email, since she's the one who travels more for work. When I picked it up, the screen lit up on its own, probably from a new email notification. I didn't even touch anything, but right there, front and center, was a receipt from a hotel loyalty program. I remember the subject line, "Thank you for your stay, Hilton Waterfront Wilmington." We hadn't been to Wilmington in over a year. Out of curiosity or maybe instinct, I tapped the email open. The details were impossible to ignore. Check-in Friday night. Check-out Sunday morning. Guests 2 adults. Late breakfast for 2, 11 a.m. Parking under her license plate. My stomach turned, but my brain started working overtime to rationalize it. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone used her rewards number. Maybe her team had some last-minute event. Maybe. Then I saw the line at the bottom. "Thanks for booking with Hilton Honors. Claire, last name." That stopped me. That detail, her full name attached to the booking, her plate number registered in the parking validation, left no room for maybe. She was there, and she wasn't alone. At first, I just stood there in our kitchen, staring at that screen. Everything else faded. The sound of the coffee dripping, the morning light spilling through the window, even the low hum of the fridge. I remember that part vividly because it felt like the world had pressed pause, just for a moment, while I stared into a reality I hadn't been ready to face. And still, I needed more. Not confirmation, just closure on the benefit of the doubt. So I grabbed her car keys and walked to the driveway. I wasn't thinking. It wasn't calculated. It was just the kind of thing you do when your heart's racing and you can't tell if you're being dramatic or if your life is actively falling apart. I opened the glove compartment and there it was. A small, matte plastic key card with a silver stripe, stamped with the exact hotel logo. Same place. Same weekend. No envelope, no receipt, just there, like trash. That's when I knew. Or rather, that's when the last excuse collapsed. The card wasn't mailed. It wasn't leftover from a team event. And it sure as hell hadn't landed there by accident. I sat in the driver's seat for a full minute, just holding that card, thinking, how long has this been going on? Who was he? Why that hotel? Why lie? But even more than the betrayal itself, what hit me in that moment was the disconnect. How casual it had all been. The booking, the parking, the checkout time, like she didn't even need to try to hide it. I walked back inside. Claire was upstairs getting ready. I didn't confront her right away. I needed to find the right words. I needed to sound calm, or she'd twist it. When she finally came down, I asked her straight out, holding up the iPad. "I just saw this hotel receipt. In Wilmington? From last weekend?" She didn't even blink. "Oh," she said, like I'd asked her where the laundry detergent was. "Yeah, that was for work. One of the junior reps on my team forgot to book their room and I used my Hilton app to get it done quickly. I didn't think it was a big deal." She said it smoothly, without hesitation. Too smoothly. "And the parking? That was your plate number." "Well, I put it under my car because I booked it from my profile," she said, brushing some hair out of her face. "They didn't end up needing parking. It was just easier that way." "And the key card? I found it in your glove compartment." That gave her a half-second pause. "Oh, right. I must have tossed it in there when I cleaned out my purse. It's just trash. I didn't even think about it." Then she added, eyes narrowing, "Were you digging through my stuff?" "No," I said. "I went to grab napkins." She scoffed. "Seriously, Nate? This is what we're doing now? You're checking my emails and going through my car?" "I wasn't checking your email." The receipt popped up. It was open on the iPad. "Uh-huh," she said, folding her arms. "You realize how invasive that sounds?" There it was. The pivot. In 5 minutes, The conversation had gone from her explaining a suspicious hotel booking to me defending why I'd noticed it at all. Somehow, I was the villain for seeing something she left visible in a shared app. I tried to hold my ground. Claire, this doesn't make sense. You've never paid for someone else's room before. And a room for two? She shook her head, grabbed her purse off the counter. You're overthinking everything. This is why I don't tell you things anymore. Because you take the smallest details and twist them into accusations. You're telling me not to question a room for two? With a breakfast for two? Under your name and your plate? I don't have time for this right now, she snapped. I'm late. And just like that, she walked out. No hug, no goodbye. Just the sound of the front door clicking shut. I stood in the kitchen, stunned. Not just by the lie, but by how quickly she'd gone on the offensive. She didn't even try to make it believable. She didn't ask what I thought or how I felt. She didn't even look scared. She was angry at me. That's when I realized. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't something she was afraid of being caught for. This was something she believed she deserved to get away with. And I was the fool standing in the kitchen, trying to make sense of it all like the problem was mine to solve. It's weird how fast your memory changes shape once you've seen the truth. After the Wilmington receipt, the gloves were off. I didn't say anything else that morning, but something in me cracked open. And once that crack formed, everything I had been trying not to see, all the signs I'd shrugged off, explained away, or straight up ignored, came flooding in. And suddenly, the last few weeks didn't look like a bad stretch in our marriage. They looked like a setup. It started with her side of the bed. Claire always curled toward me in her sleep. I don't think I realized how much I counted on that. The quiet ritual of our closeness, even when we were fighting or tired or too busy to talk. But for the past month, I'd been waking up to cool sheets. No impression in the pillow, no warmth, just empty space. Sometimes I'd wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning and she'd be in the kitchen, scrolling her phone, claiming she had insomnia. Other nights, she'd say she fell asleep on the couch. I wanted to believe her. We'd had some late nights before, sure. She said she was stressed from work, had too much on her mind. But the distance in bed was literal. She wasn't just not sleeping next to me. She was physically somewhere else. Then came the phone thing. Claire had always been casual with her phone. She'd leave it on the coffee table, charger, nightstand. No passcode for years. If it buzzed, I'd glance over and tell her who it was. Nothing secret, nothing tense. Until recently. About 3 weeks ago, she updated her phone and suddenly her lock screen required Face ID. Okay, fine, I thought, privacy, security, no big deal. But then the notifications stopped popping up. Nothing on the lock screen. Not even preview banners. When it buzzed, she'd flip it face down. And she was suddenly glued to it in a way that didn't match her usual vibe. I'd walk into a room, and she'd tilt it away. Not aggressively, just subtle. Fast. Like someone trained in hiding small things. I remember joking once, "Who's your secret admirer?" And she laughed, but it didn't sound real. Her mouth smiled, but her eyes didn't. Then there were the expenses. Not big ones, not things that would flag a joint account because she wasn't using the joint account. She started withdrawing cash. Random amounts. 50 here, 80 there. Once 100. Not once did she mention why. Claire's not the type to carry cash. I only noticed because the ATM receipts were sometimes in her coat pockets or glove box when I was driving her car. There was also a credit card I hadn't seen before. Sleek, black, not one of ours. I caught a glimpse of it when it fell out of her wallet in the laundry room. She snatched it up before I could say anything. Said it was her new company card. That she forgot to mention it. No company paperwork, no email trail. Just a card I wasn't supposed to notice. And the gym sessions. Claire always said she hated gyms. She preferred long walks, YouTube workouts, or just yoga in the living room. So when she suddenly signed up for a 24-hour gym across town, one with valet parking and cold eucalyptus towels, I raised an eyebrow. She started packing clothes in the morning. Said she was going after work or between meetings, but the clothes never smelled like sweat. Her shoes were pristine. And one night, out of sheer curiosity, I peeked into her gym bag when she left it in the hall. There was no towel, no water bottle, no deodorant, just perfume, lipstick, a change of clothes that looked more like date attire than gym wear, and, this part really messed me up, a spare phone charger and a tiny travel bottle of mouthwash. What gym trip requires mouthwash? Once the thought entered my head, I started noticing everything, like how she suddenly had recurring evening scrum meetings. Her word, not mine, even on weekends. She worked in product strategy, not software. Scrum wasn't a thing for her department, but it became her excuse again and again. Just a quick meeting, babe. Everyone's remote. I'll take it from the car if I need to. She never showed me her calendar, but I once peeked at her open laptop when she was in the shower. Her calendar was full of vague labels. Sync, quick 1:1, coffee catch-up. Most of them were blocked off between 7 and 10 p.m. Some were marked as recurring. Some were private. The scratch on her car hood showed up a week before Wilmington. I noticed it when I went to fill up her tank. A diagonal line across the front driver's side, like someone scraped it while parking too close. She brushed it off, said it must have happened at the grocery store. But I couldn't shake the image of someone else driving it, someone unfamiliar with its size. And then there was the wine glass. It was late on a Tuesday. I got home early for once and went to grab a drink from the dishwasher. In the top rack was a single wine glass, not one of ours. Slim, stemmed, with a red lipstick mark on the rim. Claire wears nude tones. Has for years. But this was red, a deep berry shade. She said it was from lunch with Renee. Said Renee brought over her own wine and glass and must have left it in the sink. I wanted to believe that. God, I wanted to. But who brings their own glass to someone else's house? And who washes it and puts it in the dishwasher afterward? Like they live here. I told myself I was spiraling. That I was being paranoid. That I needed sleep, clarity, space. But the signs weren't theoretical anymore. They weren't just gut feelings or weird vibes. They were physical evidence, scratches, wine glasses, receipts, hidden messages. Things you can't explain with stress or coincidence. The final straw that week was a scent. Claire came home late again, past 11. Said she stayed to help finish a pitch deck. When she hugged me goodnight, I caught it. Cologne. Not her perfume. Not mine. Something musky, spicy, definitely masculine. I asked what it was, and she laughed like I was being ridiculous. Probably just from someone at work. You know how elevators are. Closed quarters. Yeah. Elevators. That same explanation recycled for every scent, every late arrival, every smudge that didn't belong. You don't notice it when it's happening in pieces. You chalk it up to life or stress or bad timing. You tell yourself you're being insecure. You don't want to be that guy, the jealous one, the controlling husband, the snooper. But when you line them up side by side, back to back, they stop being coincidences. They start being a pattern. And suddenly the story you thought you were living isn't your story anymore. It's hers. And you're just waking up to the first chapter you didn't write. It's one thing to suspect. It's another thing to see it. And once you've seen it, there's no going back. You think you'll freeze when it happens. You think the moment you catch someone in the act, your body will lock up, your mind will go blank, or you'll go nuclear, shouting, pounding walls, demanding answers like some movie scene. But when it finally happened to me, I didn't do any of those things. I just stood there, silent, breathing like I'd been punched in the stomach. It happened on a Saturday. Claire had told me days in advance about a networking event her company was throwing. Not formal, but a casual work party for some new leadership hires. She said it was just cocktails, that it was a little last minute and spouses weren't invited. I played along. I didn't ask questions. I even helped her pick out her shoes, these tan suede heels she never wears to real work events because they hurt her toes. She curled her hair, used her weekend perfume, and slipped on this dark navy dress I hadn't seen in months. It fit a little too well for something that had just been sitting in the closet. "Don't wait up," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "I'll probably be home late." I nodded. "Be safe." That's all I said. Be safe. Then I waited exactly 25 minutes, just long enough for her to be well on her way, and opened the Find My app on my phone. See, Claire and I shared our locations for years. It started as a safety thing during travel, and we never turned it off. I figured if she had nothing to hide, she wouldn't remember it was even still on. The blue dot wasn't at a restaurant or hotel ballroom. It was in a boutique hotel, one of those modern places downtown with soft lighting, minimalist decor, and rooms with floor-to-ceiling glass on the corners. The kind of place designed for moments people don't want remembered. I stared at the screen for a solid minute, fighting myself. Could have closed it, turned off the phone, trusted her one more time. But you don't come back from someone dragging you through 3 weeks of lies and lipstick-covered wine glasses. So I grabbed my keys, got in my car, and started driving. My palms were slick against the steering wheel. The highway lights blurred past. I wasn't even playing music, just the sound of my tires humming on the road, and my own thoughts repeating themselves over and over. Don't jump to conclusions. What if it's not her? What if there's an explanation? What if you're wrong? But I wasn't. The hotel sat right on the edge of the Riverwalk. Soft gold light spilled from the lobby. The valet was helping a couple with a baby stroller as I pulled into the adjacent parking lot, and K** led the engine. I stayed in the car for 10 minutes. Watching. I could have driven away. Could have called a friend. Could have sat there, crying like I wanted to. But I didn't. I needed the truth. Not for revenge. Not for confrontation. I just needed to stop being the only person in the relationship who didn't know what was going on. I walked along the side of the building toward the back, where the corner rooms faced the river, the ones with the panoramic windows and privacy curtains guests always forget to close. The windows were tinted, but not enough to stop what light was bleeding through. That's when I saw them. Claire and Ryan. Ryan, her colleague, the one she said was a little full of himself when they first started working together. Ryan, the guy she once described as too smooth for her taste. Ryan, the name that had kept coming up lately in throwaway comments and late-night strategy syncs. She was in his arms. They weren't fully undressed. I'll spare you the details, but they weren't just hugging. It was the kind of Macy that didn't need audio. His hands were on her waist. Her fingers were on the back of his neck. They were slow dancing to nothing, laughing like it was the best secret in the world. And then she kissed him, and I swear I stopped breathing. There was no ambiguity, no misunderstanding, no room for, it's not what it looks like. It was exactly what it looked like. On the table beside them were 2 wine glasses, a bottle of something expensive, a small hotel snack tray untouched, and a box of condoms, half opened, lying on its side like they hadn't even cared to hide it. I backed away slowly, heart pounding. Not from rage, from numbness. Cold, mechanical numbness. Like someone had unplugged all the wires inside me and I was just watching a version of myself go through the motions. I got in the car. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't take photos or videos or try to capture proof. Because I didn't need to. This wasn't something I'd ever forget. It wasn't just betrayal I felt. It was exposure. Like the rug had been yanked out from under a life I thought I understood. A life I had built, piece by piece, day by day, with someone who clearly didn't feel the same weight of it. On the way home, I stopped at a gas station. I bought a bottle of water and stood by the cooler for 10 minutes pretending to browse. I was just delaying the return to my own house. Our house, the place we made pizza on Sundays, the hallway where we hung Polaroids, the room where I first told her I loved her. Now it all felt rented, borrowed, like nothing belonged to me anymore. I pulled into the driveway close to midnight. The house was dark. Her car wasn't there yet. I walked in quietly. No music. No lights. I didn't want anything familiar. I just sat down in the living room, stared at the wall, and tried to decide whether I was going to sleep in our bed one more night. I didn't. I packed a bag. A real one. Not the kind you throw together in anger. Just the essentials. Passport, important docs, charger, a few clothes, some backup cash. I took off my ring and left it in the drawer by the sink. I stood there, looking at it for a while. Not angry, not sentimental, just still. Then I logged into our shared bank account and transferred half. Not to be petty, but to protect myself. I forwarded my mail to a new P.O. box I'd quietly opened earlier that week. Booked a week's stay at a cheap roadside motel outside the city. Unlinked my email from our shared calendar. Deleted shared cloud backups. Turned off location sharing, but not yet. Some part of me still wanted her to find me. Just for one last truth. You don't always leave in rage. Sometimes you just go quiet. And that silence, it says everything. I didn't leave a note. I didn't slam a door, or make a scene, or give her the closure I knew she'd expect. There was no "we need to talk." No last chance to lie. No chance to twist it into a misunderstanding. I didn't even wait for her to come home. I was done handing her chances. By the time Claire returned that night, I was gone. The house was clean, cleaner than usual even. The dishes were washed, the couch pillows in place, the lights off. My ring sat where I'd left it, tucked in the drawer by the kitchen sink next to a pair of earbuds and a faded coupon she once said we'd use for a weekend getaway that never happened. I didn't take much. Just the essentials, my documents, some clothes, backup drives, passwords, and the kind of things that feel heavy with meaning when you decide what to leave behind. Her framed photos? Still on the nightstand. My hoodie she always stole? Left it. The playlist I made for our road trip last fall? Deleted it from my phone. Not out of anger. Just necessity. I didn't need anything that pointed back to her. I checked into a roadside motel about 40 minutes out. A quiet little place with thin walls and flickering vending machines. It was the kind of place no one would think to look for someone unless they were running from the law or themselves. I guess I was somewhere between both. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat on the edge of the bed with the curtains drawn shut and my phone face down. I stared at the little welcome pamphlet the motel left on the table, like I was a guest on vacation. I drank warm water from a styrofoam cup and counted the cars in the parking lot until the sun rose. At 6:13 a.m., she found me. The only reason she could was because I hadn't turned off location sharing yet. Maybe some part of me wanted her to find me, not to reconcile but to witness it. To watch it hit her that the jig was up, that this time there was no soft landing. No reset button. Just truth and consequence. There was a knock at the door. 3 short knocks, then a pause. Then a single one. It was her. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I watched the door handle from the bed like it might turn on its own. Then I heard her voice. Soft. Broken. Nate. She knocked again. Louder this time. Please? Are you in there? I stayed silent. My heart was pounding in my throat, but I didn't move. I didn't owe her anything. I had given her trust, time, patience, love. All things she used like poker chips in a game I didn't even know we were playing. And then, the sound that froze me. Her knees hit the ground. She was crying. Not the performative kind. Not the sniffling you do when you want sympathy. This was the ugly, panicked kind of crying, the kind you don't expect anyone to hear. Nate, I'm sorry, she said, her voice shaking. Please just let me talk to you. I didn't know what to do. I messed up. I know I messed up. I closed my eyes. She kept going. I didn't mean for it to go that far. It was just supposed to be work. It was supposed to be harmless. I was lonely and stupid, and her voice cracked hard right there. I thought you didn't care anymore, she whispered. I thought you were already gone. I didn't think I still mattered. That part almost got me. Almost. But it didn't. Because you don't forget the image of someone kissing another man in a hotel window, smiling like you never existed. You don't forget the lies or the gaslighting, or the way they made you feel like the paranoid one when all you were doing was loving them honestly. She kept begging. I heard her fists gently tap the door once or twice. I heard her try to breathe between sobs. But I didn't move. I didn't make a sound. And after what felt like 20 minutes, the noise stopped. I peeked through the peephole after another stretch of silence. She was still on her knees, head in her hands, her makeup smeared, her purse lying in the gravel like it had slipped off her shoulder, and she didn't notice or care. Eventually, she stood. She looked at the door one last time, and then she walked away. I waited 5 minutes before getting up. Then I did the one thing I should have done days ago. I opened Find My and removed her from my shared access. I blocked her on everything: phone, socials, email, cloud. Not to punish her, just to breathe again. Then I packed my things and left the motel. I didn't go home, not even close. I drove 2 hours to Raleigh and checked into a co-working loft I'd used a few times during conference trips. It wasn't fancy, but it had a kitchenette, a clean desk, and most importantly, a lock she didn't have the code to. It was my space, my silence, my restart. The first night in the loft, I sat in front of my laptop, trying to write. Couldn't. My brain was scrambled eggs. But I did one productive thing. I wrote down everything. Not for therapy, not for revenge, just to get it out of my head. I wrote about the hotel receipt, the key card, the wine glass, the fake gym sessions, the smell of cologne, the timeline, the room, Ryan's name, her hands on his chest, my ring in the drawer. I made a record, because I knew what was coming. She would try to rewrite it, water it down, say it was just one mistake, or a moment of weakness, or that I wasn't there for her emotionally. But now I had something she didn't. The truth, all of it, in sequence, without emotion or manipulation. I wrote until 3 a.m. Then I finally slept. Hard. Dreamless. When someone breaks your trust, the first thing you rebuild isn't love. It's a perimeter. By the second day in Raleigh, something shifted. The shock had cooled into something sharper. Not anger, exactly, but clarity. The fog was gone. The need for confrontation, explanation, begging her for the truth. All of it had burned out. What replaced it was quieter, and somehow more powerful. Control. She had shattered the life we'd built, but she hadn't broken me. She didn't get to own the narrative. Not anymore. So I did what I do best. I made a plan. It started with evidence, not out of paranoia or to nice it, but to protect myself from the next wave. Because I knew it was coming. The guilt, the rewriting, the sudden flurry of, it wasn't what it looked like texts. She would try to reshape the story before the truth settled. So I made sure the truth had weight. I pulled our shared bank statements for the past 3 months. There were hotel charges I'd never seen before. Not just Wilmington, but 2 other weekends, Asheville and Charleston. Both booked under her name. Both during times she claimed she had team-building sessions or off-site strategy retreats. I cross-referenced those dates with her work calendar, which she didn't know had been syncing to my old tablet for over a year. No events, no entries, just blank weekends with vague iPhone notes like pack and drop car. I printed the receipts. Then I checked her parking history. Her parking pass app, the one she linked to her Apple ID, was still accessible through our shared account. She used the same public parking structure twice in the same month, always at night, always for 6+ hour windows. The lot was a block from the boutique hotel. Not even subtle. I took *TS. Then I got her phone records. We had a family plan. I logged in and pulled the logs, outgoing and incoming, for the last 60 days. There it was, the same number, over and over again. Nighttime calls. Late afternoon gaps in her schedule followed by 45-minute conversations with a number I didn't recognize. I ran it through reverse lookup. Ryan M. Ryan. Of course. There were 38 calls in September. 42 in October. All outside business hours. All while I sat at home, wondering why she'd gotten so quiet. And the texts, hundreds. Most short, some long. Once, 2,346 characters in a single message. That's not, hey, what time's the meeting? I exported the call logs. Then I pulled the corporate chat logs. Her company used Slack. She once connected her account to our iPad to monitor updates during travel. The credentials were still cached. I couldn't see everything, but I could search timestamps. It was subtle, but obvious when you knew where to look. Patterns where her status changed from active to away during long breaks in messages. Then it would flare back up around the same time her phone records showed a call to Ryan. One Friday, she messaged him at 7:43 p.m. Made it. You parked yet? Followed by, bring wine if you can. I forgot. I took a *T. Then another. And another. I wasn't building a case to punish her. I was building distance, the kind you need when someone tries to reel you back in. Because they always do. And she did. Claire started texting me again the day after she showed up at the motel. First, it was short. Please talk to me. I'll explain everything. You're making this worse. Then the tone changed. I never meant to hurt you. This wasn't some affair. It was a mistake. He doesn't mean anything. I didn't respond. That's when she sent a letter. An actual letter. Handwritten. 5 pages. It arrived at my co-working address 3 days after I moved in. She must have remembered the address from a package she signed for last year. It began with, Nate, I don't expect you to forgive me. Which was ironic, because the entire letter was about trying to win that forgiveness through omission. She never used the word cheating. Never used the word S**X. Never said Ryan once. Instead, she called it an inappropriate closeness. A workplace boundary violation. She said it wasn't physical at first, but emotions blurred things, and that she lost control. She admitted to Wilmington but claimed it was the only time anything physical happened, which, of course, was a lie. Charleston and Asheville said otherwise. The letter wasn't for me. It was for her. A way to soften the edges of what she did. As if better phrasing could take the sharpness out of betrayal. I put it in the file. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. Instead, I set boundaries. I texted her once. Just once. We're separating finances immediately. No more shared accounts. No joint purchases. No shared obligations. Please forward your new address for future legal communication. She didn't reply. Instead, she Venmo requested me $48 for some cookware she'd bought for us and wanted to keep. I denied it. Then I blocked her number. The next day, I had a consultation with a therapist. Not because I was spiraling, but because I wanted the spiral to stop before it started. I needed someone to help me process the gaslighting, the betrayal, the way my own brain still tried to make excuses for someone who wouldn't have done the same for me. I also called a lawyer. I didn't know if I wanted a divorce yet, but I needed to understand my rights, property, finances, liabilities. I asked questions I never thought I'd have to ask. Can I remove her from our lease? Can I protect my business assets from marital claims? Can her affair be considered a breach if it impacts my career or reputation? The lawyer didn't give me comfort, but he gave me clarity, and that was enough. I stopped calling this a break. I stopped calling it a separation. I stopped using words like we when talking about plans. There was no we anymore, just me, relearning how to breathe on my own, reclaiming what she had hollowed out with half-truths and late-night lies. I sent a fact-only report to HR, detailing Claire and Ryan's overlap and travel logs. Quietly, the company launched an internal review. Ryan was reassigned, lost his bonus, and got pulled from client-facing roles. Claire kept her job, but her perks vanished. No more travel, no leadership track. Friends stopped calling. Her name carried weight, and now it carried silence. I didn't gloat. I just cleared out the apartment, boxed her things, and took my peace back. A month later, I built a new life. My own budget, solo routines, and a rented workshop where I picked up the projects I'd shelved for years. Claire sent a long letter begging for another chance. I didn't respond. The evidence had already spoken. There was no scene, no final fight. Just a clean line between before and after. I didn't need closure from her. I found it in the quiet. In the life I rebuilt without lies, without waiting, without her.